My name is Caroline Funchen, and I'm the Director of Marketing here at Pioneer Valley Christian Academy. I am here with Colby Webb, who is the owner of Chick-fil-A in Enfield, Connecticut, and one of our lovely students, Lujan. Lujan, are you a sophomore?
Yes.
I wanted to see you were a junior, but you're not. Sophomore, Lujan, Urena. And we're going to talk a little bit about Chick-fil-A Leadership Academy. So, Colby, what brought your family to Pioneer Valley Christian Academy? Because I know prior to here you were in Colorado, is that correct?
We were, yes. So we, all three of our kids went to a Christian school in Colorado as well, much smaller than PVCA. So when we moved here, it was one of the kind of priorities for us. And really PVCA was really kind of a rare jewel for us to be able to find, to bring our kids to, and to be able to bring pre-K through first grade. And so it's quite interesting. The previous school only went through sixth grade. And so now here, they actually can go all the way through high school and build a community of friends and all that kind of
Yes.
so.
And you have two sons and a daughter.
I do.
Can you tell me a little bit about them, their grades, and how they're doing this year?
Yeah, so we have three small children, my wife and I. My wife's name is Stacy. We have little Aiden, he is in pre-K this year. We have Miss Myra. Miss Myra is in kindergarten this year. And then we have Mr. Bryson, who is in first grade. We've seen that little guy come alive. He was the quietest, shyest kid at his previous school. And then we did parent-teacher conferences. Stacy came home and said, "You would never believe." But guess what? our Bryson has become kind of the talkative, like clown social. And not clown, but like he's communicating with everyone. He's talking to everyone. I'm like, who is this child now? He's coming out of a shell.
That's awesome.
It's awesome.
And it's very easy to come out of your shell in Mrs. G's class.
Yeah.
She's so fun, right?
I know,
She's
yeah.
like the PVCA Barbie. I love her so much.
Yeah.
She is always dressed like super fun, and
Right.
she's got a lot of energy.
Yeah.
So all of your kids will go through there, and it's just, all of our teachers are fantastic. But I just said Mrs. G's classroom just has a little bit more sparkle.
Yeah.
That's what's going on in there. So for your family, because you did mention in Colorado that your children were in Christian school, why is Christian school so important to your family?
Yeah, great question. There's obviously a lot of options out there today. I think first and foremost, having a Christ-centered education. Most people don't actually realize this. When I went to a Christian private university, and they often used to say, "Hey, it's all about 18 inches." I said, "What are you talking about? All about 18 inches?" He said, "There's 18 inches on average between your head and your heart." And he said that they would always talk about the value of Christian education, specifically connecting those two. Mm-hmm. That it's not just here, but it's also here. And it starts with really centered around kind of a Christ-centered education here, but also making sure these two are connected. And then the outflow of that is through your hands and how you serve. And so I think about the value of Christian education is that. It's all about 18 inches, connecting the head and heart together. I think we get that at PVCA. And I think that's the value of Christian education.
That's wonderful. So Chick-fil-A, Enfield, and I'm not sure how, I think Mr. Campolongo, or you had reached out to Mr. Campolongo, I'm not sure how that started, but how did Chick-fil-A Leadership Academy find its way to PVCA, and why have you so generously, because it's a sponsorship, so it costs money to run this program. What made you want to do that?
Yeah, great question. So Chick-fil-A, part of wanting to be known as the world's most caring company, part of that is really finding ways that we can intrinsically be involved in the education system. And with really a gap in leadership in generations today, we see this as our way to kind of make impact. And so this is our first school we really focus on PVCA. Obviously, our kids go here. Our family is a little bit more invested here than this school or that school, and so it naturally felt like a good starting point from getting this program off the ground, partnering with the content creators and things like that to get this here. It's one of the first in New England. Chick-fil-A Leadership Academy doesn't really exist at really any other schools. And so our hope is that we get used to how the program runs and how it can sponsor here, and it can launch into other high schools. Where it doesn't have to be necessarily a Christian school or anything like that. The content isn't specifically faith-based, but the principles are connected back to biblical values. So our hope is that we can get this spread out to other schools. And so that's what we're trying to do, is basically inspire a generation of leaders.
Mm-hmm. So Lujan, you found out about the club and you joined. What has it been like so far?
It's honestly been very good. It teaches you about leadership, which is very important to have as growing up, because you want to show others how to be, and being in this academy really helps you to realize outside of the world and not just being in a Christian school. It shows you how he said values, even though if it was in another high school that wasn't Christian. So it just shows you about leadership and how to treat others and not just be kind of negative. It's very positive and I love it a lot.
Oh, that's great. We have about 14 or 15 students, I think, currently enrolled in the program. And so could you talk a little bit about the different, because I think they have 3 projects. The first one, I can't remember the name of the first one, but then there's Do Good December, and then we have, I think it all culminates into this very large event. Could you, and both of you can weigh in on it, but could you tell us a little bit about the different projects that the students focus on?
Do you want to start and tell them what the projects you've already done?
So my group is doing the Do, and we are doing, we're partnering with Christina's home, and we're giving 4 stockings to little kids. I believe it's 0 to 2 years old, and we're filling it up with toys, things they need, things that the mothers need. And other groups I know are doing, one is doing a spirit week to raise money to give to people who are pregnant and to their kids, and then the other group, I'm not sure what they're doing, but we're all just giving to the community to help them out and keep going.
And so in order to do that, you had to come up with different fundraisers and to raise the money to do that. So that's great. And so you're liking it?
Yeah, it's really fun. I like it a lot.
And do you enjoy the ice? I love that. I happen to be involved with this group as well, but I love the little icebreakers that they have at the beginning.
Yes.
And it's so fun to watch the kids come together, and they have a little bit of fun, and for the first 15 minutes, some silliness, right? And then, of course, Chick-fil-A. They enjoy eating the Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A is very good.
So after Do Good December, I think they begin starting on a larger scale project.
It's essentially kind of a capstone type project where they're integrating all of the content that you're learning on a monthly basis. Last month was servant leadership, and you connect that into the Doing Good project. And so it's essentially a capstone type project, and so they'll have the opportunity to help partner with us as a business to help raise funds for more of an impact on a larger scale, a larger initiative, and put all the things that they've learned throughout the year of that into action. And so that's one of the cool things. What amazes me about this entire program is this isn't during the school day. They volunteer to do this after school hours. Which is pretty phenomenal, that they're willing to give up other things that they could be doing with their time, and really learning about fundamental principles of what leadership actually looks like. I love that.
And so when we talk about Giving Tuesday, and you think about giving to nonprofits, and there's so many good causes out there. But why should those watching us consider giving to PVCA? I'll ask that from each of you.
Okay.
Ladies first.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll start. So it's very good because helping others is a really good thing, and then helping a school as a Christian school to get other people more involved with the Bible and having more opportunity to get things for us to use for like getting more Bibles and having just our community come together and serve God more every day is just very good, and I feel like that is a good opportunity for us to start here.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I think you got to ask a fundamental question. Part of our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is stewardship. It's just trying to have positive influence on who come in contact with Chick-fil-A, and be good stewards. And I guess two things come to mind. Number one, people often ask, "Hey, why are you closed on Sunday?" And we can say, "Hey, it's a family day. It's a day of worship." There's lots of different things. But the founder of Chick-fil-A once said, "We often find that our light shines brighter the rest of the week when we're closed on Sunday, when our lights are off. Our light shines brighter." And so when I think about that, and I think about investing in PVC and making that intentional decision as stewards over the resources God has given us, over other opportunities people could invest in, and believe me, there's lots of them. There's thousands of them. You have to think about one pivotal thing. For us and our family, there's something called the Downline Effect. And so learned this from a program I was in several years ago. What's interesting is here, PVCA has been here established. We see generations now starting to come here, year after year after year. I had Mrs. G as my teacher too. And so you see this generational effect. And a part of New England that is somewhat maybe unchurched or not, where it's a little bit more dark in terms of believers and things like that. You're actually investing in a school that's a light in the community. That has a much different impact and a different way and influence than the local church may never even have. But in addition to that, you're actually investing in generational change of the same thing because of the heart change Christ is going to have in our lives. And they get introduced at here. It's not like you just hide it in the closet and you pull it out at the holiday time. It's built into the educational curriculum every single day. And so really, that can have much more of an impact than even sometimes the local church could have. Both are important, but this one has a specific time and purpose during a very young, fragile, influential part in a student's life that could dramatically change the course of their life forever by being introduced to this at such a young age. So if I was talking to individuals out there and say, "Hey, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to put my money where I'm going to feel like it's going to have the biggest return on investment." And that biggest return on investment is something that's going to potentially impact generations and communities for a lifelong. As from a parent perspective, one of the things that's kind of struck me is how the teachers go out of their way to either remember something about you, ask you how you're doing. You gotta keep in mind, you're dropping your kids off in the morning. They're trying to try to manage everything else going around, but yet you might hear them just yell across the classroom, and just kind of check in on how you're doing as a parent. And it's kind of, what, really? But you're managing like herding kittens a little bit here.
I know.
And then you have that, and then you also have, I know for one of our kids who's required just a little extra attention and care, PVCA through some counseling and additional support has helped support them academically, help us kind of figure out, hey, adjusting to the school and transitions and all those things. They've kind of stepped above and beyond with that when we're thinking, okay, do we need to make adjustments, and do we need to consider homeschool or this or that, and for the betterment of our kid? And they're like, nope, let's step alongside you and let's figure this out together.